was, so there's 10 independent contractor rights that David and I took from the standard independent contractor law. So I want to go through these and see how well we gig workers match up to these. Because when we did this, it's pretty scary how much I don't think we do match up to this. So these changes that are going to be coming in the new year might be coming because of some of this. So let's take a look at these. So there's 10. There's the right to a contract. A business person without a legally binding contract with a client becomes exposed to abuse. A formal independent contractor agreement protects you by spelling out your duties within the parameters of a project and how much and when you will get paid. It also designates you as the independent contractor rather than the employee. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we meet that one. I don't think we do.
No, we don't.
I don't think we do because we don't really read the contracts.
Well, and is it a contract or is it an agreement to use the platform?
Well,
terms and conditions.
You can't even proceed, though, in most of these apps, taking orders unless you hit agree. So it's almost like you're forced into automatically signing the contract because you can't work these platforms unless you agree to the contract.
Yeah.
Well,
but Steve was, I think one of the points you made by just like understanding everything in the agreement, they're not honest and transparent with all of the agreement anyway, right? Like there's certain things that they're not saying. So I think that point definitely it's murky, but definitely I agree. We're not getting that.
No, they know things that they purposely don't tell us even.
Right.
So the agreement is what? How would that agreement look if it wasn't just a checkbox? Would it really? It would have to look like, hey, we're going to pay you something if you do this. Like that's not an agreement I'd make. Pay me what? Why don't you fill in that number? That's where the contract comes into place because you would have a say in that contract. The right to control. So the essence of being in business for yourself puts you in control, not your clients. If a client tries to control your business by telling you where, when, and how to work, you become an employee. I don't think we passed that.
Isn't that kind of the whole Biden Labor Department thing about, the employee versus independent contractor? It's about, could you really, do you really control, how much of your work do you really control?
Well, my thing is like I'm going to use rideshare until they did upfront pricing 14 years after the start, like a month ago, like they didn't ever tell you where you were going, where you were picking up, nothing. So that's that right of control is gone. You don't even know where you're going when you accept these orders.
And that's outrageous. It reminds me of the Uber Connect thing. Hey, can you pick up that thing over there in 2 miles? What? Just pick it up. What is it? We don't know. Just don't ask. That's a problem.
They don't tell you where to drop it off either. Where we drop it off at? We'll tell you after you pick it up.
Yeah.
It's like it sounds like drug deals, right? Like drug deal 101. You're not even important enough to let you know what's in this container. You're just like the lower, low rung. You're just out to do errands. Go pick it up. Don't tell. You don't need to know where it is. You don't even know where you need to go yet until you pick up this thing. So it's definitely way on the other side of the company. But understand some aspects of there need to be an agreement of where and how to do something. If I am doing a service, I don't know, like a plumber, like I'm an independent contractor, I'm a plumber. Yeah, I'm gonna have to follow, okay, what time I have to be there at this person's house, how long the project should be. Like it should be more of a give and take. But there's no give and take with Uber, obviously. But there should be some level of back and forth of what we both agree with, and then we kind of come together.
I mean, I will say this. I think there's just some tweaking that needs to be done to this to stop a lot of things that are going on because like when you mentioned plumber, okay, if a plumber goes and does a job and then net 30 bills the client afterwards and they don't pay it, that plumber has to take on the lawsuit, the attorney fees, everything. With these apps, we're being paid at least. I mean, you're being paid when you're done.
Right.
I mean,
and if a customer wants to level a lawsuit based on what a driver did, like if it was a traditional independent contract, it goes straight to that person. but now it goes to the company. So the company is still the buffer. Does that make sense?
The way that our conversation went, and again, it drops next Wednesday. We did it in 3 parts, but we recorded them all. So the first 2 are already out on the Parachannel. But the way that we all came to the conclusion, there was 4 of us that deal with this a lot, was that we basically, there's no way around the fact, and I'm just trying to word this correctly, that we have clients. We don't have a client. We have one client, the platform you're working for. Because if you got audited, you don't have a list of any client. Where is your clients? Oh, it's just Uber.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So an independent contractor who got audited would have to show all of their, here's my clients. I can't show my clients. I would have to say, ask Uber.
Makes sense.
That's kind of a problem, you know. I mean, that's.
Now, what about this? You don't necessarily, if you're an Uber driver, you have only Uber. But if you're a multi-apper, you can say Uber, DoorDash, or different.
Right,
you know,
but
would that make a
still,
difference?
those become your clients, though. And the whole purpose of this was that they were tech companies or service software as a service, an SaaS type system.
Uber says, we're not a transportation company.
Uber started off as, if you were a driver, you were an Uber partner for the first 2 couple years. Then it was get rid of that language because we could be sued bad because these are not our partners. So they stopped using that, and it's the whole thing's concerning. The right to making decisions. While employees expect to follow orders from their bosses, independent contractors become their own boss. Consider whoever hires them as your client and not your boss. So being an independent contractor provides you with the freedom to dictate where, when, and how a project gets completed. So remember, your clients do not direct your work. If they do, you become an employee and not an independent contractor. Clients hire you to complete a project while you maintain the freedom to decide how to conduct the project. And with part of that is, as all independent contractors have, you have all tools available to use. So Gary Middleton apps, Para, these should all not even be contested. Because you should be allowed to use any tool you want at your disposal to get your job done. That's the minimal that they could do for that part 3. That's what they need to do.
But they're going to counter with, you are using certain apps to circumvent our technology, whatever's, which is not it's not fair to the company. I mean, I'm just throwing out.
Right. But then you're going to counter with, right, but you're not showing me all the details. You're not transparent. You're scumbags. It's like...
just kind of going back to the contract, and I know this would never happen. I almost wish that it wasn't in legal terms and it would actually be in terms, or they have like a short script version for regular drivers. So every driver understands exactly what's in the contract, and you don't have to be a lawyer to figure out what it exactly means.
I wish that they did that with the tax code. You're just making. Can you simplify this? Because I don't, but that's the point, right? Make it hard to understand. So you just jump right into it, and when something goes wrong, they're like, "Well, you agreed to it. You agreed to terms of service," and that's how they can get you.
That's how they get you.
So number 4 is the right to work when you want. So flex. Yes, we meet that one. So out of the first 4, I think we've met 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Really
number 5,
one, though.
Number 5, right to work where you want. As your own boss, you choose where you work. You can work at home, at a coffee shop, at a beach, in a park, or maintain a private office. That's why you should avoid working at the client's place of business like an employee. Understand that your clients' employees won't perform your unique services. That's why they hired you.
Yeah, it's a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is a big one. This is a big one, because this applies to every one of us. And by independent contractor law in this country, we are afforded the right to number 6, right to advertise. You have the right to act and advertise for yourself. Market your private services by printing cards, brochures, and handouts. Advertise in freelance job boards or online platforms for freelancers. Advertising in classified ads as a freelancer also helps. Advertising while on the work site for another job. Spelled out. Make sure when hired to work on a long-term contract, it specifies your choice to work for other clients too. That way you do not appear as an employee for one employer. We don't meet that at all. Because you'll be deactivated if you advertise.
Rover, they allow you to advertise, but it has to stay in their platform. So if you go in the app and you're texting a client saying, yeah, man, these Rover fees are kind of high. How about you Venmo me instead? Rover will pick up that algorithm will pick up that chat. They will send you an email just to let you know, like, what are you doing? Then if you continue, they will suspend you, like, because they want that cut. I mean, you're using their platform to take a client. So what you have to do is talk to them, obviously in person. Then you figure it out. But yeah, you're right. For terms of food delivery, not at all. Like,
or ride share. I mean, ride share is a big one, because like in the years that I was really doing a ton of it, I had a lot of pilots. A lot of pilots live here in Denver because we're a big international hub. So it's, and they, when you'd meet them and I'd take one to the airport, they would say, often they'd say, hey, or I could have landed them as a personal client. Hey man, I'll take you every time you want to go. I'll pick you up. Give me your schedule.
But it takes one person to complain.
Yeah, and if that one person complains, I'm gone.
Give you a hard time.
But that right is a right afforded to me as an independent contractor.
Yeah.
The right to receive payment. Employees typically get paid on a set schedule, like weekly or monthly. Normally they get paid by a check, which includes deductions for employee contributions to Social Security and Medicare. Your independent contractor agreement specifies your right to receive payment and deadlines. That's why it's important to use a contract that clearly states how much, how, and when you get compensated. Independent contractors normally send an invoice. Yes, we probably could meet that. Again, all of these get a little hazy, but we probably could meet that. Right to employ other contractors, another big one. Employees show up for work and follow the boss's direction. A contractor sometimes contracts with others to perform some duties, while a client hires you. When a client hires you, the option exists to hire other contractors to do some of the work, like a general contractor paying subcontractors to do some of the work on a construction project.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I could have other people delivering food in my car. I could have other people driving people on rideshare. I could have, and I know Uber Eats is a little weird because they kind of do allow that, but Uber does not, Uber rideshare. But that's not a right we have. Like Kim can't just decide she wants to take 4 days off and let a friend of hers do her business.
That's true.
Sure.
I mean, if she does, she'll be deactivated. So again, this is all weird stuff, guys, because these are like what the federal government's looking at. And so to me,
sounds very similar to that. Yeah.
What I'm getting at is like, it's as much as I hate it, it's no wonder they're attacking. We're not meeting these. I mean, we don't.
If enough people are complaining to representatives about this, a lot of personal interest stories are popping up in local news about these companies. It just looks bad, and you would hope that these gig act companies can try to meet us halfway before the hammer comes. When the hammer comes, it's going to destroy everything.
Do you think the gig acts will try to meet us halfway? We'll try to, I guess, give some of these liberties that are more common for independent contractors. Not even liberties, the more rights that are more common for independent contractors to us, quote unquote, independent contractors.
I don't know. I think by the time they may want to do this, it may be too late. Like
At best, I think they'll try to pick and choose what works best for them.
Of course,
to make it look like they're trying to move things in the right direction.
But all these
they want control.
But all these companies still need to make money at the end of the day, so they're gonna fight and do everything they can to take the most amount of money in their pocket, opposed to fighting for some of the coming into the middle for some of these rights.
Some of the hybrid model, or
But by them not even working with this and trying to figure something out, I feel like, that in every state they have 1 million lawsuits. In every country they have 1 million lawsuits. In California they got AB5, Prop 22. In Seattle, in Washington State, and in Massachusetts, in 24 days, everything's going to change. In potentially Pennsylvania and Minnesota and DC, things are going to potentially change. I mean, this is why they're coming after it hard, because we don't have any of these rights. And it seems like the gig companies could stop spending it all on lawyers and AB5s and Prop 22s and all this junk and just meet the criteria somewhat. I mean, like, upfront pricing just is getting released in every market before the end of the year. Do you think that that's because every state is fighting them now? Yeah, it is. Could they have done upfront pricing 14 years ago? Yes. They decided not to. And now they've had 14 years of algorithmic gain and learning how we act and learning what we'll take. And so now they have a real advantage there too. It's just not right. So number 9 is the right to challenge your employee status. Your independent contractor agreement specifies your role as an independent contractor, yet the IRS and Labor Department use their own factors to determine if you acted as an employee or independent contractors. Both parties have the right to challenge this status in a court, period. So we don't have that right. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. The platforms say that arbitration is, we can't arbitrate.
Why do you think that's, like you said earlier, you said that, legal rights share that if you, I remember you talking about this, you said, hey, listen, if you can just even threaten them with being bothered with a lawsuit, they'll just, okay, let's just, if it wasn't something egregious, like you've been accused of doing something terrible, but now they don't want to even bother. Is it because they don't even want to go back and forth with this to a point where maybe one of these cases get to a larger court and things may get drastically changed? You think that's the reason why they don't want to have any kind of arbitration, or they're just scummy?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess that they don't want 1 million lawsuits in every state.
Right.
I mean, that's why they want, basically the only way you're going to get at them is a class action lawsuit. And we all know how those go. They take forever. They don't pay you anything. Nobody gets anything out of it. It takes years. So even if you win, it's not really a win. Most of the time, it's just junk. But they've made it that way. They've made it so that you can't. And again, it's another way of saying you can't. If we deactivate you, you can't challenge it. Bye. Well, where in the world
possible.
Does that fly?
It could be a money thing. All these arbitrations, you have to hire someone to do all this. They're like, we don't want to pay a bunch of people to do this. Like,
but if you could have an arbitration case, you could say, you could say that with those cases, your lawyer normally would say that, if we win, that Uber, let's say, has to pay the attorney fees and the legal fees. So realize they'd lose a lot. There's a lot of judges who would love for this rule not to exist so that they could try these cases, and they'd be like, you win, and they just keep doing it. And then all of Uber's law fees, all of yours, and all of the court and state's fees would be paid by Uber.
Yeah.
In every case. This is why they won't let us have it.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
And then number 10, the right to manage your own business. Independent contractors run their own businesses. You manage all aspects of your business. As a self-employed business person, you maintain the responsibility to provide your own benefits. I guess we meet that, but we only meet that if we meet the other things.
So what's the
The
count?
other- I don't know, like 2?
2 out of 8.
2 out of
We
10.
round that up to a 3, maybe. No?
Yeah, maybe.
I
a
mean,
3,
maybe,
2.5.
and that's that would be
Yeah.
not that would be generous of us if we said that 3 out of 10 we meet, because some were partials or whatever. But I think in the end, even a partial would just be a straight no. If you don't meet it, it's a no. You didn't meet that.
It's not a yes.
There's
it's a
not
no.
right. There's not a lot of room for debate there, because if you don't meet it, you don't meet it. So anyway, that's I wanted to really hit on that tonight, because here we are, and there's states changing, and there's other states looking to still change, and I think that sheds some light on why. Now, I don't want to lose my independent contractorship, my traditional one, or even my gig platform one. I'm okay with the way it is right now. I think some changes need to be made, but I can definitely say this: if some changes aren't made, they're going to make some changes for us.
Yeah. At least get to 6 out of 10.
I was gonna say,
Right?
can we need 3 probably at this
I mean,
point.
ideally you want
That should
all,
be-
but you gotta jump below the 3.
I got to tell you guys this: what it says in the preface to these 10 points that I just kind of bulleted out is all 10 have to be met.
Oh, shucks.
You're not an independent contractor if all 10 of these are not met.
Sounds like a quest.
We're in a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I guess it, it really shines light. It really does. It shines light on the fact that, hey, look, like, we're not meeting these.
So let me ask this question: is there out there in the blue sky scenario a new, for lack of a better term, white knight gig company that could be created that could meet all 10 of these steps? Is that a possibility anywhere in your
Dumpling.
mind?
Yeah, dumpling.
I have two clients
Dumpling.
now, by the way, you guys.
Yeah,
That's
two
how it
shops.
starts. That's how it starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to do it traditionally, right? Like it's like a true independent contractor, it takes time to make money, or at least
of
a
course.
full-time income, at least a side income. Maybe you get luck up, you may get a little lucky, or you just find yourself in the right environment or the right market. But it's hard to do it like the dumpling way. Like you're on your own. You go find these clients.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna say you're on your own, because dumpling does provide some resources to help you, but it's not as easy as you have a dart, you dash your app, you turn on, and orders come to you. I mean, that's
Right.
the structure, that's the infrastructure that DoorDash provides, and they don't want to give you much else other than that.
Well, it's
I
like
feel-
legitimately building a business. Yeah.
I feel like when you were reading all of those, it's really geared towards someone running their own business and acting as though that like this is their business. When you think of us as independent contractor, when you think about us, are we truly running our own business? And I feel like sometimes that's where that disconnect might actually be.
Right. It's like because they allow flex hours and no W-2 in the world does, they feel like that was enough. Like, we give you the flex.
Yeah, we got
but
you.
you have to give us all 10 of these, dude. I mean, I understand that I understand this was written for traditional independent contractors, like the production work that I've always done. However, why can't there be another one, something like this written, instead of all the kabillions they're spending in every state, both sides, the state and these gig companies?
Joe has an interesting question. He says, driver's rights, are you trying to prove that we're not? I guess
I'm trying to find out how we stay independent. We're trying to DRM, driver's rights movement, is driver rights, so singular driver rights.org. Go put your name in there.
Yeah,
you won't get spam. Just put your email in there, and there's even a place that'll send something to your local elected official, and it kind of self-populates. So if you want to write it yourself, that's fine. But like you can go a little farther than just your email, and it actually will send something to them that we've pre-written. But just put in your email, because we're over 60,000 now. No group in the country that's had a strike or anything has any numbers like that. They're more like a couple thousand. We've got 60,000 since April.
Yeah.
So these aren't like 2 years old either. And are they still active? These are people that, really want this. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is they need to rewrite it so that They need to rewrite a gig economy independent contractor 10 steps or whatever. Maybe it tweaks out a little bit, but it meets state requirements, and they adjust it, and they keep it separated from traditional ICs. Because traditional ICs, like Kim was saying, are more, even though like me, I am, because I have to juggle my production work with gig work. So I'm going to mess with taxes if one of them, if gig work becomes employee, I can't do it anymore. So, you know, it leaves me in a jam because I am an independent contractor. I'm going to stay one. And so, and if I became W-2, I will say this strongly: I would never work for any of these companies.
I would assume.
I mean,
I would
in
be
this,
surprised if you did.
in the facility, in the roles that we do right now. I'm not saying like as an executive, and even that I probably wouldn't do, but like, you know what I mean? Like as drivers, I would never be a W-2 for Uber, Lyft, or for DoorDash, or none of them.
It would be nice if through all of this, and with the government reviewing this, you know, this document, that they really did take into consideration, like an organization like driversright.org, and hear from actual gig workers that are living and breathing this every day, opposed to some elected officials that might not know. They might think that they know, but they truly don't know what we go through, what we do, and really understand the disconnect between the two.
Yeah. Problem is, a lot of the unions are going to be in the ear of the people who are making some of these regulations. So
the unions are making their final stand. They have Joe Biden in the office, who is Mr. And again, not political here, I'm just being honest. You guys can go look it up yourself. Joe Biden, his whole career, his number one thing: unions, unionize the country. So you know what? This is their last stand. The unions have been declining for the past 25 years. And just as much as big corp steals and corruption and whatnot, unions are just as, on top of taking money out of your pocket that you don't need to be given up to them, in my opinion. They're just as corrupt. Just as often as you hear about an exec getting caught for something, you hear about a union boss getting caught for something.
And some may not even work. I mean, ask the rail workers. They were in a union, and Biden was like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. Actually, if you strike, it's illegal." You know what I mean? So it may not protect you, but you know, it's a very it's complicated. If that makes sense. If it was that simple, we wouldn't figure it out a long time ago. It's going to change. It's going to mutate into something that we may not be able to recognize in a few years. It seems like it's going to be faster than I thought. I thought maybe we can kind of, glide this through, but there's a lot of powerful interests looking to change it in their benefit for many different reasons. So I don't know how it's going to look in the next couple of years. I have no idea.
I agree, Hannibal. And this comment from JP is straight up right on. And I think a lot of people, and the government knows this, a lot of people just won't take the time to do this. That's why at the driverrights.org website, we've made it so that you can just your email attaches you to and it's not shared. There's complete privacy there, but it's just attaches you to the form of another name on the list of the 60,000 plus. But if you want to have help writing your congressman or whatever, that feature is in there, that it self-populates something written, and basically you just sign your name at the bottom. Well, it's already written for you.
I think we got to take it a step further, because I think right now, especially in the space we're in, we're seeing the government being proactive. We're seeing a lot of unions being proactive. And I think something that gets lost, we talk about writing our congressman, but if you know a little bit about American civics, I think there's another step, which is ballot initiatives. And I think we got to get to a point where we're proactive enough that we're crafting ballot initiatives that is getting, our rights as independent contractors, or trying to draft a new model and trying to propose these things versus being reactive to whatever the current administration or whoever's currently in power is putting upon us, and reacting to that. And so I think that has to be the next step. And I think when you look at something like drivers' rights, and you get a large enough group and a large enough knowledge base, you start to get the ability to make large moves like that. And learning from different states about what would pass and what would not pass. And I think until we kind of go down get to that point where we can craft initiatives to kind of, I guess, attack this thing head on. It's going to be very much kind of a cat and mouse game versus a battle.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I think right now, though, this minute, is that 14 years have gone by with Uber. I know a lot of the other ones have appeared during that time span, but 14 years have gone by. And during that time, it wasn't like from day one there wasn't problems. There was controversy. They've been dealing with being underhanded, altering schematics, screwing around with governments of other countries, of this country, of states. And it's pissed a lot of people off. And I think that, again, with Biden in office, and we just passed the marker, he's now in his second half of the term, I think they're going to full force. I think that's why states are still trying to go for next year, because it won't be contested for at least 2 more years, if not longer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, just do it now, because every state, when we did this, I can't remember, it's like, there's like 7 states out of the 50 that don't have AB5 wording in there. So as easy as California extracted AB5, our state, Colorado, has it. Same way California did. So if they wanted to, they could pull that out and say, okay, we're putting this into law, because it's already in the Constitution of 43 states in one way or another, including a lot of right to work states, which is a contradiction completely.
It really is.
So,
Arizona's a right to work state, and what to learn what that meant, it makes 0 sense.